Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome back to quality sessions of PrepCart. Now, previously till now, we have seen that what is exactly government. Then we moved on to types of government, then to legislature, types of legislature, elaborating the concept of legislature. Then we have discussed something about what is separation of powers and organs of the government. Likewise, we did something related to Indian politics. Now, in this present session, I will be discussing about the powers of the legislature. For example, whatever the Parliament of India is there, what are its functions? In one of our video sessions, we have discussed about the functions. Actually, there are 13 functions we have discussed in that lecture, and in this one we'll be discussing about the powers of the legislature. That means whatever the powers are there for Indian Parliament, are there for state legislatures, state legislative assembly. For some state they'll be having a legislative council also. The beauty with Indian government is the structure of formation of Indian government is basically it is a parliamentary type of democracy. So in a parliamentary type of democracy, generally more priority will be given to the people elected directly by the people. That means priority should be given to lower house only, that is Lok Sabha only. If it comes to the state level, the priority should be given to the legislative assembly only, but not to the legislative council. But the policymakers of the framers of the Indian constitution, whatever the constituent assembly is there, by keeping many things in mind, it has kept the bicameral legislature. That means there will be an upper house and there will be a lower house. Whenever the power of the lower house increases, for example a single party is going to have its domination in the parliament, then whatever the upper house, the Rajya Sabha is there, it can control the Lok Sabha. For example, if any law is made by the Lok Sabha is somewhat extend to the against to the will of the people, welfare of the people, then the Rajya Sabha can do something. So that kind of adjustment is made in Indian parliamentary system. The same thing is applicable to state governments also, but some states are accepting the unicameral legislature only, and very few states are going for bicameral legislature. So with respect to this kind of legislature, as it is having a variety of legislative system in India, we are supposed to learn the powers of the legislature. So the very first thing related to powers of the legislature will be its legislative power only. That means making laws. So legislative power will be the first one. Then second one will be its executive powers. So, what are the executive powers of this legislature? And if the legislature is having any judicial powers, so we'll discuss that also. So, legislative powers, executive powers, judicial powers. Then we'll be going on, or we'll be moving on to electoral powers of this beautiful parliament or state assembly. Then we'll be going for constitutional powers. Constitutional powers means amending the constitution. Does it have any right in doing so? And finally, financial powers, the most important one. So these are the six important things which are related to powers of the legislature, and more precisely with respect to Indian legislature. For example, if we need any law, the lawmaking power is there. The lawmaking power is kept in the hands of the Indian Parliament, and it is more on Lok Sabha actually, and up to some extent it is less on Rajya Sabha. It depends on what kind of party is there in Rajya Sabha. If in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, if the same party is dominating, then there will be no use. If there is a possibility of dominance of one party in Rajya Sabha, then there will be a beauty to the democracy, because if there is any misconception with respect to implementing the laws will be there, then it will be controlled by the Rajya Sabha. The condition is in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, one party is not supposed to have the domination. Rajya Sabha, another party which is not ruling, if it is having the domination in Rajya Sabha, then it can do something. So legislative powers, the parliament makes all kind of laws related to the land. So it has the legislative authority, legislative power. For example, if it is related to preventive detention laws, or if it is related to, for example, you take right to education, we have, it has been made into an act, and up to some extent the National Food Security Act 2013 is there, and all such kind of things are supposed to be made by these people only. And we will discuss separately about how it works. For example, introduction of a bill into the parliament, introduction of a bill into the state assembly, and who drafts that bill, because the people who are elected by the people are not having that much skill in drafting a bill. So the group of people who are going to draft that bill, and the voting process and finalizing the bill into an act, what is the exact procedure, that is a completely separate thing. And our present context is up to only discussing about the powers of the legislature only. So the very first thing related to legislative powers, that is law making power of the parliament or law making power of the state assemblies. And keep in mind that we have both unicameral legislatures and bicameral legislatures also. At union we are bicameral, at states we are both unicameral and bicameral. And when it comes to the executive powers of this legislative body, or executive powers of this parliament, or the executive powers of this legislative assemblies, the executive power directly deals with controlling the executive. For example, the very first pillar of parliamentary type of democracy is executive is responsible to legislative. So here we are supposed to learn about things like what is the collective responsibility of the executive, what is the individual responsibility of the executive. Individual responsibility means each and every minister is supposed to keep the secrets which are done, or which are accepted, which are made in cabinet. So that is individual responsibility. If any mistake is done by that particular individual, he has to take his individual responsibility and he is supposed to resign. If it is not happening, that individual is not resigning, then collective responsibility comes into act. So in Indian context, the legislative body dominates the executive body. And in parliamentary type of democracy, absolutely for Indian kind of thing, the executive is responsible to legislature. That is the very first pillar of parliamentary type of democracy. And we have discussed the second pillar also, that is judiciary must be independent in a parliamentary type of democracy. These two are the key pillars for a parliamentary type of democracy. First pillar is executive is responsible to legislature. Second pillar is judiciary must be independent from legislature and executive. Here we are supposed to discuss and we are supposed to rethink about separation of powers in Indian context also. So again, coming back to the powers of the legislature, the legislative power means law making authority, any kind of law. Executive powers means the legislative body controlling the executive body through individual responsibility kind of thing, collective responsibility kind of thing. Likewise, when it comes to judicial powers, the parliament can impeach the president. The parliament can remove the judges of the high court. The parliament can remove judges of the Supreme Court. The parliament can remove Chief Justice of India. All these kind of things come under judicial powers. And nowadays this has taken a more significant role, because there is a clash is going between the judiciary and the government of India with respect to establishment of a proper welfare state. So Judicial powers are related to impeachment of President of India, removal of the High Court judges and Supreme Court judges. And please keep one thing in your mind: the impeachment word is exclusively for the President of India only. We are not supposed to use that word in the case of Chief Justice of India. Impeachment of Chief Justice of India, that word is not allowed. Impeachment of President only. When it comes to the removal of the Chief Justice of India, we are supposed to use only the word removal through a process. That's all. Impeachment of Chief Justice of India is a misspelled terminology. So, removal of Chief Justice of India, removal of High Court judges, removal of Supreme Court judges, and impeachment of President of India, all these things are part of judicial powers. And the electoral powers is these legislative people can elect other people. For example, they are taking participation in the election of president, they are taking participation in the vice presidential elections if there is any. And so both the members of the parliament, if they are from the Rajya Sabha or from Lok Sabha or from state legislative assemblies or legislative assemblies from union territories like Pondicherry, they can participate, they can also participate in elections. So that is electoral power of the legislature. So people elected by the people are legislature, and they are again going to elect some other people. So that is a very beautiful thing in Indian system. So electoral power means participation of these legislative body in elections. They are also going to participate in elections. Now, constitutional power means amending the constitution, which is based on Article 368 of the Indian Constitution. So, the Parliament of India is empowered to amend the constitution, any part of the constitution, without any doubt, without any question, until and unless the basic structure of the constitution should not be disturbed. So, constitutional power means whatever the constitution is there, that constitution itself gave the authority to amend the constitution to the Parliament of India from 19, when we have accepted the constitution from 1950 January 26th onwards till today 2021. We have many issues with respect to this thing: the misutilization of Article 368, the dominance of the parliament or the constitution, trying to modify it according to its own will. So many things have happened in the past and present are also there happening on the basis of Article 368. So on the basis of Article 368, the Indian Parliament is empowered to amend the constitution, and that power is given by the constitution itself to the Indian Parliament. And the financial is the most important one, because designing tax structure, public revenue, public finance. If you take public finance can be classified into like this: it includes public revenue, public expenditure, public debt, and maintaining the fiscal policy, fiscal responsibility, and budget management act. So many things are there. Designing money bills, and when it is the case of money bills, Lok Sabha dominates over Rajya Sabha. So financial process means whatever the thing is there related to either generating of money, either spending of money, either taking loans. So any part of public finance majorly is of three parts: public revenue, public expenditure, and public debt. So any decision related to either public revenue, how the money can be generated through tax structure, or changing the existing tax structure, introducing new concepts like GST, by analyzing, detailing about the issues in present tax structure. Like we have very big issues, two big issues in Indian tax structure are credit mechanism and cascading effect. How to eliminate these two things, how cascading effect can be eliminated, how credit mechanism can be eliminated, and how new tax structure can be eliminated, and if taxes are collected, how the states and center can share the tax structure, which tax has to be collected by the state, which tax has to be collected by the union, and how these taxes has to be shared in between these two. Everything is about the financial powers, including the budget. So you can say that financial powers of the parliament is nothing but fiscal policy of the government. So to conclude, the powers of the Indian legislature is like that: legislative powers, executive powers, judicial powers, electoral powers, constitutional powers, and financial powers. And this is a system which you cannot see in a classical type of parliamentary system, because if you want to see a classical type of parliamentary system, go for United Kingdom. If you want to see a classical type of presidential system, go for USA. If you want a mixed bag of everything with so many experiments, because this country is geographically very diversified, demographically very diversified, so many cultures, so many languages, so many mindsets of the people, so many eating habits. Not only geography changes, not only demography changes, even from point to point, topography of the country also changes. So that is the beauty of this country. If such versatility is there, you need a mixed bag of constitution. You cannot have a constitution like a classical things, a classical theory cannot be implemented in India, because after so many deliberations, after so many discussions, we had the constitution in 1950. From 1950 to 2021, the number of times it has been changed depending on the time and depending on the situation and depending on the requirements. So it's a very, very beautiful constitution, one of the most powerful constitutions and one of the most powerful types of governments, one of the most powerful systems in the entire globe actually. So for us, it is mandatory to learn its beauty. Its beauty lies in its powers and its functions. If we discuss about powers, legislative powers, how they are different when compared to other systems, executive powers, how they are different from other systems, judicial powers, how the Indian judiciary is one of the most effective judiciaries in the world. We have, whether it is Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, each and every individual has a great respect towards this judiciary. That is the beauty. If there is any altercation is there, any arguments are there, they're outside the system only, but inside the system when you enter, they are giving a great respect to this thing. And electoral system, the president is respected like anything, although he belongs to a particular party or he doesn't belong to a particular party. A great position is given to the particular individual through electoral powers. Now, constitutional powers somewhat controversial. It depends on the agenda of that particular government, so amendment of the constitution, and in some areas, for the welfare of the system also, for welfare of the people also, constitution has been amended, that power has been utilized properly. And when it comes to financial powers, the country is running on these financial powers only. So that's all about the powers of the legislature. In my next policy session, I'll be discussing with some other video. Thank you.